But another river, the Severn, had caught up with us, or us with it. Anyway, we nearly fell in it. So we decided to take a chance, the car and the ferry to Somerset. Of course, the mere sight of so much liquid, except in a tankard, is inclined to make us seasick, but there it was, a few minutes on the waterway or 50 miles by road. In these days of no petrol, we'd watch it. And that is where we found ourselves, at Watchett. A port before Bristol was ever thought of. The ancient mariner and Hereward the Wake set sail from this harbour. On the beach are St. Keen's serpents. The saint is said to have turned all lies into stone snakes for the sea to wash away. Even a stone cert on the German radio. Here too, rare blue lias is found, used to dye naval uniforms. Watchett blue is navy blue. In the churchyard, not in a grave but under the old yew trees, lies the body of the mother of Lorna Doone. In the church itself, a Lady Wyndham was buried. Her coffin was opened by a thieving sexton of the church who, knowing she'd been buried wearing her jewels, attempted to rob the grave. As he drew off the rings from her fingers, he saw he had drawn blood. Terrified, he ran away and promptly drowned himself in the nearby well. Having been given the air, the lady rose and went home. She'd only been in a trance anyway, to live another 12 years and have 2 children. Everyone was bowled over, but that is a common occurrence down here, where all the folks are skittle-minded and rows of ninepins as well as beer go down every night. Nearly every pub has a skittle alley. It's so popular roundabouts that people believe skittles originated in Somerset. The fact is, Danes brought skittles to the West Country in the time of England's first fire watcher, Alfred the Great. The wooden ball is called a cheese. And that's not surprising in a country that has Cheddar Gorge, and in the middle of Cheddar makes its own cheese. Every farmer is cheese preparing, and it all looks very rural, but the cheese is world famous. All day long the curds and whey are stirred, and if this is what Miss Muffet ate, she should have frightened the spider, and probably did. Though once upon a time all the court ladies drank their daily pint of whey as a beauty aid. Now the whey is drained off through a pipe from the curd to where the pigs outside are waiting on the receiving end of the line. No pipe dream this. They take gallons of it every day and come up for more. Next, the curd is wrung out to dry. Then the breaking up starts, and it's just a question of fining down now, and the cheese is nearly complete. Yet at this stage of the proceedings, it looks, and quite frankly tastes, rather like golden India rubber straight. But when it's matured, we went on to Porlock, once a bustling port, now just a sleepy little hamlet, like many of the coast villages have become around here. Maybe there are still donkeys on the beach. Not one of them would take you for a ride, though. They're on war work. Parts of the beach are rich in limestone, and they work for a guy who burns it in the kiln at the top of the cliff, high above the sea. They've often asked each other why the heck he doesn't burn it at the bottom of the cliff, and so save them a stiff climb. But the only answer they ever got is a horse laugh. They are strictly trade union in the way they do their job. The boss says play fair with them and they'll play fair with you. Make one take an extra heavy load or trip up the hill and he, or should it be she, gets mulish about it. The stone is heavy and they may be asses but they're not daft. They know exactly how much should go to a load. After all, they've been doing it for donkey's years. Try putting anything over on them if you want a good sit-down strike on your hands. Not exactly looking like a string of classic probables, but worth their weight in limestone, they hie topwards. It's no mean climb, but no moke ever said die. Has anyone ever seen a dead donkey, by the way? Or do they just go on forever like income tax and old soldiers? The donkey dozers having made it, they say, get a load of this. And the stone is beaten down for burning into lime. That's the stuff you use to rid yourself of pests like slugs and mothers-in-law. And so the market mounts trot beachwards. We took the gentleman's route, pet name for the smugglers who work this ground. Rumour has it you can still hear the ghostly sounds of their boats coming up the creek to their farmhouse GHQ, and that the place is haunted with the men they murdered for spying on them. They stored enough wines, silks and fully fashioned here to keep a black marketeer going strong in a 200 years war, and still have a pair left over for the girlfriend. Indeed, they had so much liquor in stock that the whole place caught fire, and the gentlemen had a taste of the place they were heading for. Now meet a village that glats. Ever heard of glatting? We hadn't either, till we went to Kilve. Following the teeming populace down to the beach, we watched what we took at first to be 3 Aberdonians looking for a sixpence they'd dropped at high tide. But why the sticks and dogs? Or were they bloodhounds in disguise? Maybe it was a new method of shrimping. No, we were told, they're glutton. Well, they've made the whole thing about as clear as mud to us. And why the dogs? Oh, they're glutton too. Of course, that cleared it all up very nicely. Or did it? What is eel glatting? Why, basic Somerset for men who hunt eels left by the tide under the rocks and ledges on the beach. And they use dogs. There's hardly any kind of hunt, except maybe a woman hunt, that doesn't call for hounds. And in this case, they're dogs, and they've been raised as champion blatters. The blokes digging under the ledges have no real means of knowing whether their prey lurks under the rocks they dig at or not. They just take a chance that there might be one. And if there is, the stick will shift him. And bet your life the dog will have it before you can say all jellied. So that is how it's done. Slippery, they take as much holding as a man with a wandering eye. Not always are they pulled out from under the rocks. The eels often try a getaway by water, making a dash for a pool, and then they're harder to catch. He's got it, he can't keep it. Boss thinks he's had that one, but eelhound knows better. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Eel still thinks he will take it on the lam, but he doesn't make it. With a growl that sounds rather like, "Come out, you," piscatorial playmate, he brings in another one for the collection, with not even a dent on it. Hi, don't lose it, chum. Some glatter. From an eel hound, we move on to a staghound and Exmoor. Scene of wild beauty, home of wild ponies, and haunted by stories of the wild Doones. Over this bridge rode Lorna Doone's lover on his way to meet his bride. We were going to a meet too, the stag hunt. The hounds were out, and so were we. Wartime hunting, like everything else, is rationed. So when there is a meet, people go to it. But to all of them, it's more than just a grand day out with the hounds. It's a serious job of work. The royal sport may be condemned by many, but these people live here, and they know what serious damage a stag does to the land and the crops. Hundreds of pounds every year are lost through the ravages of the herd, and the farmers are glad of the hunt's help in keeping them down. In the forest is the watching stag line. Really getting into the swing of the thing now, we were rather wishing we too were on hunters instead of horsepower. Besides, how would we be over fences in the flivver if we tried to follow? And this is where we meet all types, all kinds, and there's an air of expectancy about each and every one of them. We meet the master of the hunt. She's a nice person. They don't look at a view, but move off to it. Hence the view hello. Both sides are trying to spot the other, and both sides are good sportsmen. Whether you're for hunting or against it, there is no lovelier sight than a pack of hounds down an English lane, with the pink of the huntsmen in their midst. They move off, and so does the stag, away from the moorland into the heart of the forest, where we couldn't follow. Still, we'd come a long way since we'd left that mountain top. Watched old methods, seen new ones, met a lot of new faces, made a lot of new friends. Seen so much beauty, so much loveliness go my way.